Hey Shahar, welcome back to my channel. So I'm going to be talking about Raph and Mona from the 2012 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which is a show I absolutely love. So I rewatched the episodes that have to do with them, including a couple other episodes where I know that they were mentioned, and so that I could talk about them and do a relationship timeline on them. They didn't have. I wish they were on because I do absolutely love them. They were by far, honestly, they were the only ship on the show I cared about. Because, I mean, there was the Leo and Cry weird relationship. There was the Donnie, April, Casey love triangle, and then there was the Mikey and Renee. I almost forgot her name. Relationship. But Raph and Mona was the only one I care about. Those are some of my favorite episodes, and they're my most rewatched episodes. Then again, I have a love for Raph, so my most watched episodes are typically either the Raph centered or Raph and Mona centered episodes. So yeah. So let's talk about Raph and Mona. So, uh, their story starts. I have my notes. The story starts with the turtles crashing, and they hit the salamander ship as they both crashed into the planet. Um, Raph, during the crash, mentioned that he hates space, which he says a lot. He absolutely hates space. But I mentioned that because if I remember correctly, later on he says that space isn't so bad because, I mean, he didn't say, like, because of Mona, but that's why he said space was so bad. Um, Mona is angry and wants to destroy them because she's hot-headed like Raph. um, the salamanders attack and Fugitory tried to defuse the situation, but that didn't go well, obviously. And then here comes their meeting. Uh, Raph says, "Listen, sister, we don't want to fight you. You're clearly outnumbered." And she says, "Numbers mean nothing. I do not fear you or your friends." And then, so Leo wants to say this is a big misunderstanding and tries to hold out his hand, not realizing that that in their term means attack. Um, so the fight breaks out. Mona says that they fight with dishonor and will be destroyed. And then Raph says, "You have some imagination, sister." He keeps calling her sister, which is weird, but okay. Raph checks on April as Mona hit both her and Casey, or him and Casey. And then he's like, "You know what? That's it. You're going down." And he goes after her, and they fight, but it's a short fight because she beats him. And then it's so funny because then he says something. He's like, "I've never been hit like that before." And then he's watching her fight in slow motion, and he's like, "It was kind of nice." And I just find that so funny because only Raph would fall in love with someone because she beats him in a fight. Which I also love because when you look at Raph, you think, honestly, I love Raph. He's my favorite character. But you look at him and you think he's gonna be like that overly masculine, egotistical guy. And don't get me wrong, he has his moments, but he did not care that a girl beat him. If anything, he loved it, which I'll get more into in a few minutes. But I just love how he falls in love with her because she beats him in a fight. That's like an amazing beat cute to me. um, I lost where I was. Okay. Uh, they get trapped and separated from the salamanders, and so the salamanders leave. Later on, after they're free and they're still on their journey trying to find the what was it called? I don't know. Uranium, something like that. Uh, Raph asks Casey if a turtle could date a newt, which makes Casey just start laughing. And Raph says that they're not so bad as and Mona is cool. Well, he doesn't give her her name yet because she doesn't know her name. Um, Leo thinks he's lost too much oxygen. And then Mikey says, "You really like her? I mean, she's bigger, stronger, and a better fighter than you." And Raph, like I said, I love his reaction because he's like, "Exactly what a woman." I just, I love that he fell in love with her because she was better than him. bigger, stronger fighter. It's just so adorable. Like, he does not care that she's a woman. He never even considered that. He was just like, yeah, she's better than me, and that's why I love her. I love when guys are like that. Like, yeah, I love her because she's smarter than me. I love her because she's better than me. Like, because those are the good kind of guys who you know are amazing boyfriends. Um, Mona is mad when she finds out that they survived and thinks they're cowardly, dishonorable fools. Um, they're ready to fight the salamanders, and Raph thinks they can team up with them, but they refuse. The group does not want to team up with him, where Raph does. So Raph decides to go rogue, and runs off. They notice, and Leo says he went to talk to his girlfriend. um, Mona is sure they froze when Raph jumps up and do flips, asking if they're impressed. Mona says no, but respects his tenacity as she holds out a weapon. Raph says they can work together. Commander says he speaks of a heroic heart, and she says, but you're in our way, as she shoots the ice. Raph says that's not good teamwork as he falls. And Commander thinks it's interesting how she chose to hit the ice and not the stranger. And she's like, there is no reasoning to my. And I just find that hilarious. Like, it's one of those things where, like, everyone can see it before them, sort of thing. At least in her case, because he did fall for her before the others realized that Raph fell for her. But in Mona's case, I feel like Commander noticed that there was something, which is why I love that he lets her go later on, which I'll get into when I get there. Um, but I think it's adorable. Um, they get attacked by ice dragons. Raph climbs back up the mountain to find Mona in danger. Raph destroys the dragon angrily as Mona watches him flirtatiously and curiously, because it kind of put me back to when Raph was watching Mona fight, and this time he was like, it is funny because, like I mentioned, I love how Raph falls in love with her because she beats him in a fight, and then when she finally sees him and falls in love with him, it's because he beats the opponent, but he does it like he looks so angry in that moment and dangerous, and it's so hilarious because she's watching him. She's like, "Oh, now I see it." um, she holds out her weapon as he pleads with her, only for her to shoot the enemy behind him. She calls him noble as he tells her his name. She says her name is Yagithba, which I think is a pretty name. I low-key want to name a kid that. But he can't pronounce it and says on Earth there's this painting of the most beautiful woman in art, and asks if he could call her Mona Lisa. Um, she wraps her tail around him as she leans in, their helmets touching. As you wish, Raphael. One day our noses will meet in the flesh. And Raph looks all love-struck as he says, my nose will be ready. Raph, Mona, and Commander show up and save the others, shocking everyone. Mike says Raph is with the enemies, and he explains they're friends now as they all work together to destroy the ice dragons. They find the Irelium, but get attacked, and Raph says he has a plan as they all start running. They all start losing air and collapsing. Raph falls Raph falls as Mona catches him and lays him down before collapsing beside him. And then he says, Mona, I wish I could tell you how I feel. And she says, Raphael, believe me, I know. I just find it funny because, like, they have only known each other for, like, maybe an hour. And half of that they were fighting and enemies. The other half, they're like, you know what, you fight well, I like you. And now it was kind of a quick, like, I hate you, I love you. But it was just funny. Because it was like, it took all about 5 minutes. She wraps her tail around him and pulls him close. And then later it shows Raph waking up to Mona calling his name. She helps him as he falls onto her, causing him to step back sheepishly. Mona grabs Raph's hand, saying, one day. They lean, he says, I missed a step. He says, will he ever see her again? Mona grabs Raph's hand and saying, one day. And they lean in to kiss, but get interrupted. Raph's trying to explain how he feels. He says, what I'm trying to say is, and then Mona says, let me say it in my own language. And then she starts, doing her weird language. And then she grabs him and kisses him as he holds his leg up, which I find adorable. And then it shows Mona's ship leaving as Raph watches her go sadly. And Leo says he'll see her again, and Raph says he hopes so. Mona and Commander gets locked up by the Krang Supreme for being allies of the Turtles. Supreme, I meant. For being allies of the Turtles. Um, the Turtles are meeting with the Utrom to find out the next place of the black hole piece. But they get attacked by Krang, and Raph and Mikey go through the portal to follow the kidnapped queen. Raph gets angry when she loses them and can't find where the queen went. And then you hear a voice, I would know such fury anywhere, Raphael, as Mona walks up and you can see her through the glass of the cell she's in. Um, she looks so happy to see him. I made that note because she's just smiling. And it's the way she says it too. She's like, I would know such fury anywhere, Raphael. And then Raph gets hard eyes as he's happy to see her. Mikey calls her his girlfriend, which I find funny. Raph starts stabbing the prison until he frees her, asking how she got there and that he never thought he'd see her again. Mona picks him up, legit picks him up, and kisses him. So, like I said, they're adorable. Mikey pulls them apart as they stare at each other lovingly. They try to convince them that the Utrom is good. Mona says that they can't trust them. Raph says he was skeptical at first too, which makes sense because I feel like the two of them are very skeptical people. but the Utrom helped the turtles. Raph faces Mona and says she knows he would never steer her wrong. She says she doubted them before, but now she trusts Raph with her life and believes him. She places a hand on his shoulder as he looks up and smiles at her. They kiss again, Raph lifting his foot up, and then you hear Mikey say, "What's wrong with you two?" And then Mikey and Commander are annoyed with him, just going. So yeah. They attack Krang Supreme. Reinformers show up. The building explodes as they jump. Raph grabs Mona as they land to safety. They fight well together. Because they are the best fighters, and I just love watching them fight together. Like they are so in sync. Um, Raph and Mona ride the Dragonoid as they fight. Um, Raph says, "You've learned some new moves since I last saw you." Mona says, "I could teach you sometime, one on one." And the way she said that, like, was so flirtatious. I love it. And he was like, "I would love that," with some hard eyes. um, I and I made this little note because I wanted to remember to say it, I guess, during the video. But I said I love how they managed to be flirty in the midst of battle, because only they could do that. I feel like. Let's be real. Raph gets thrown back as he catches himself only to look at Mona and gets flown again. Raph fights as Mona crashes. Raph lands but gets worried about her falling after her. He races towards her but misses her hand as she falls. He uses that, I don't remember if they gave it a name, but it's like that weird worm thing that's used as like where they squeeze in and then like a rope thing comes out and it can catch on something so that they can like land softly. Kind of like um a grappling hook. I couldn't remember the name. So grappling hook. It was kind of like a grappling hook, but I guess the alien version of it. But he used that to catch her as they both land. Raph wakes up to Mona as she fixes her ship. Raph tries to awkwardly ask her out if they're if they're ever on the same planet again. And she doesn't understand what he means, but which she starts getting confused as he tries to figure out how to explain it. And then she touches her shoulder. She touches his shoulder and says she'll go anywhere with him, and which causes him to smile. Leo says he doesn't get it, and Donnie says beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Mikey says now is the time to kiss, because they kept kissing before when they were fighting and stuff because they that couple. Raph gets angry and tries to go after him. When Mona wraps her tails around him, pulling him close, surprising him, she dips him as the two kiss as everyone watches, which is adorable, but also a little weird that they're just watching that. They get a distress signal as Mona reveals Commander was captured by Armagon. Raph puts his hand on the screen. Mikey was teasing Raph over Mona. They are so happy to see each other as their hands intertwine, she shows up. He runs to her, and they put their hands around each other. And then like the background changes, and it's like they're the only ones there. Um, but of course, Leo has to interrupt, and Raph says they'll help because Commander's one of them. Where Leo agrees, they help their own. Mona thanks them while looking kind of sad, foreshadowing, just saying. Um, Raph doesn't want Mona to know of his fear as he's freaking out, which happens a few different times. He's like freaking out over the bugs, starts itching himself because he has a huge fear of bugs, but he doesn't want Mona to see that side of him, so he keeps trying to hide it because I know he does that now. Um, as they're talking about the planet as they're heading there, and then they also do that later when they're about to enter the palace, and then he's like this, and Mona looks at him, and he's like, and then when she goes away, he's like, okay. um, I lost where I'm at. Okay, they get attacked on the planet and they're fighting in unison like usual. Raph freaks out as Mona watches and he tries to play it off, which I just mentioned. And then Mona stays back as they rush to Commander, but it was an illusion. Dun dun dun. As Mikey and Casey are captured. Mona helped you find out that when they revealed that the Commander was not in fact captured, and then Mona walks up and you find out that she betrayed as because he says about you get for helping them. And Raph is just heartbroken. Like, oh no, how could you? Why did you betray us? Why did you betray me? And he was, I've never seen him like this. It's just heartbreaking to watch. Like, he's never like this. And he never loses his fighting mojo. Even when he's freaked out, like, whatnot, he never just doesn't fight. He literally just stops. He, like, freezes. Um, Bill tells Raph to free them, but Raph falls to his knees defeated as he drops his weapons. Armageddon calls him pathetic and knocks him out as all he can see is Mona. Raph wakes up and Leo gets on his case as Mikey defends him, saying like he got the biggest kick of all, the kick in the heart, and then Raph just trucks him away, um, refusing to look at Mona. Mona looks at Raph, but before they like leave with the villain Drake, that's his name, and but Raph just kind of looks away when she looks at him. Um, but then you find out that Drake still plans to invade their planets because that's the whole reason why they did this, and which makes Mona very angry, and she's like, "What have we done?" And they are freed thanks to Donnie, April, Casey, and Future Toy all showing up. No, Casey's already there. Sorry, April, Donnie, and Future Toy show up, and Raph still can't get himself to fight. Raph is thrown into as Mona looks away in distress. Then he's thrown down a hole as Mona calls out to him, reaching for him, but falls into the hole anyways. Um, and then you hear Drake say they'll be dead soon, which makes Mona angry as she tries to attack, but Drake stops her easily. And then when they're fighting in the hole, Raph can barely fight, and Leo says, "Pull it together, Raph," or that might have been Casey. I didn't write who said it. I just wrote the quotes. I think that one was actually Casey. And then it shows Donnie helping Mona and Commander, who's on the ground, and she says, "We have failed you, Donatello." And then it shows them helping the others out of the hole, and Mona ends up saving Donnie. And then she said, "I made a terrible mistake, and I intend to rectify it." As she fights, um, it shows Raph struggling to get out of the hole, but Mona helps him, and he pushes her away. And then Mona apologizes, and Raph tells her he trusted her more than anybody in, in the galaxy, and she betrayed him. And then he runs off as she watches, all sad. And then they're all running, but the Drake has a huge army as well as the Scorpioid is what I called it. Um, and Mona and Commander decide that they're going to fight it to get the others to leave to fix their mistake about betraying them. Mona tells them to go as they can hold them off. Mona tells Raph she will always love him before charging into battle. And then Raph just smiles. He's like, she loves me. And I just love that scene so much because Leo and Mike and Donnie, everyone is like, oh, you know what this means? Like, Raph got his fighting mojo back. Y'all are screwed. Kind of reaction. It is just hilarious. They do. um, and then they race into battle. Mona gets stung as Raph gets angry and starts winning the fight. Do not make him mad. Just saying. Um, Raph runs to Mona, holding her in his arms, telling her she'll be okay. Um, Mona wakes up as Raph stays by her side. Despite everything, he still stays by her side because he loves her. And yeah, Mona apologizes as Raph grabs her hand, and the two go into kiss. But that's when the episode ends, so you don't actually see them kiss. But they go into kiss. So Donnie brings up Mona betraying them at Drake's planet, and Raph tells him to just drop it already. Raph has a panic attack and imagines Drake and then Mona. He hugs her, but then you see the cockroach. But then he sees the cockroach from season 1. That the cockroach from the episode where he like gets all mutated, and it's the first episode that has to deal with Raph's fear of bugs. Raph imagines that he's able to save Mona from Drake, and he stopped being scared when he saw she was in danger. They stare lovingly, and he kisses her. But But then you see him kissing a bug. Raph hallucinates one of the bugs, transforms into Mona, and then shakes his head and tells himself to focus. And then later on, Raph says that Alopex is really something, but she's no Mona Lisa, saying that she might be cool and all, but Mona is the only one for him. The salamanders head to Earth, where Mona imagines Raph working out, which I just find hilarious. Raph, while on Earth, gets annoyed with the couples and says he's happy being alone and doesn't need anybody else. But of course, that's when Mona calls him through the space helmet, and he's so happy to see her. She says it's good to see him, and she's on her way and needs his help. He gets excited and runs into the wall while he tries to leave the room, which I find hilarious. Then it shows them on the roof, anticipating the arrival as the ship lands, and then Raph gets happy when he sees her and runs up to her and hugs her. Mona says she missed him. Commander says Mona thought that they should get their help, and of course she does. Let's be real, she just wanted to see Raph. Any excuse to see Raph, I swear. Raph and Mona stay side by side a lot of the time. Like, a lot of times during this 2-part episode, they're just literally standing next to each other, which I just love. Like, they are so codependent, and I'm here for it. They keep the two of them are the team's separated, and then they are working with Commander and Mikey. They keep watch as Mikey and Commander check it out. But Raph gets nervous being around Mona again, and asks he asks Mona what happened since they chilled since they last chilled, and she, of course, not understanding his slang, says chilled as in the ice planet where we met. And he just smiles at her. And so Mona reveals Drake invaded their planet, and they fought as Raph got angry, just as there was angry that Drake apparently just doesn't die. But then there was an attack, and Mona screams, "We were supposed to keep watch!" as the two run up. Mona and Commander gets captured as Raph calls to her. Raph checks on Mona as he helps her up, as he's angry at Bishop for attacking them, not realizing these were the same salamanders that helped them before. But Mona calms him down. I love it. Like a lot of times you see like the couples where one of them is hot-headed and the other one is not, so that person grounds the hot-headed person. But this one isn't like that. They are both hot-headed, yet
they typically get hot-headed around different times. So whenever one of them is hot-headed, the other one is the only one that can calm them down. And for some reason, I just love that dynamic. Like, I've never seen it anywhere else where it's two hot-headed people that still manage to calm each other down despite being hot-headed, and I love it. um, they keep watch again. Raph tells Mona he wants her to stay with him, and she says she's a warrior, and he says there's so much for her there. Um, Mentioning several things like pizza, these TV show that he likes, blah blah blah. And then I wrote down battle couple because they're a battle couple. I love watching them fight together. Raph's Zap's the dude, I don't remember his name now, but the person they're fighting, the other salamander. Just when Drake shows up. Mona reaches for Commander, but Raph grabs her hand and pulls her back, saying there's too many of them because Commander, as well as a few other people like Leo, um, got captured. I'm trying to remember who else got captured because I know later on there's a few more that gets captured. Raph and Mona block the door as they were trying to keep everything out. Um, Bishop insults Mona, and Raph yells at him, and she's like, "I never really liked you, but you can't insult my girl," which I thought was adorable. And then Mona said that she can take care of herself, putting her hand on his chest, and threatens Bishop, and she's like, "If you," I don't know how she phrased it, 'cause I didn't write down the exact quote, but she's like, "I will chew up your uh, brain and spit it out," and Raph's just like, don't mess with her. But I love it. Like, he wants to defend her, but he knows that she can defend himself, so he backed away so she could defend herself. And I love it. I love relationships like that. Like, yeah, she can defend herself. I still will, though, if she needs me to. But I will also back away so she can handle her own mess, sort of thing. And they definitely have that vibe as a couple. Raph comes up with a plan that has to do with a missile and destroying Drake. Mona, everyone just stops and looks at him like, seriously, dude. And Mona says she liked it, but it felt too much. And later on, it shows that Mona shoots Drake with electricity. Leo throws something to Raph as he rolls off Mona's back to beat Drake. Mona and Raph fight side by side. Commander says that I can't speak, that they must head back, making Mona upset because the fight is over now. She said that she thinks she should stay on Earth and keep an eye on things. And Raph looks surprised, and I just love it because Raph is just like this. He doesn't want to believe it, so because he was all angry before, and he was just like this. And then when she starts speaking, he's like, "What was that?" And I just love his reaction. But what I love even more is that Donnie just he's like side eyeing him. He's like, "I know why she's doing this." um, Commander grants permission for her to stay on Earth as Raph smiles. Bishop says she can't because of protocol, and Raph just punches him before hugging her. He said the mighty mutanimals are looking for new recruits if she wanted to join them. And Mona takes his hand and says, as long as they are as admirable as you. And then the two smile as they kiss, and then they smile as they kind of just hug. And you hear like April say "Aw" as everyone watches them kiss again, because apparently they don't have anything better to do. But that is it with their story. Their story was so short-lived, but I absolutely love them as a couple. And like I said, some of these are some of my favorite episodes. Like that's a two-parter, which was in the last season. I do not like season 5. I think the only things I really like in season 5 is this two-parter. I absolutely love. It's one of my favorites in the entire series. But I do actually enjoy this one three-parter later on in the season. That has to do with them finding Dracula and Frankenstein, and Raph turns into a vampire, and it's a lot of fun. It doesn't make much sense to the plot, but it's just fun. So yeah. um, but I absolutely love a lot of these episodes. They're so amazing, and I absolutely love this couple. And I wish we got more of them. I definitely wish we got at least one episode after this one with them together because I wanted to see them like being all domestic, living on the same planet, being able to go on dates and hang out, but still fight if something comes up. And I just wanted one episode to see that. They're living together now while living in the same planet, at least, which is a big improvement to living galaxies away. But we never get to see them again. Like, why can't we see one episode of them being all domestic, going on dates, having fun, getting attacked, fighting together like they always do? I wanted that, but we never got that. But anyways, I digress. Maybe we would have if we got any more seasons. Though I'm low-key glad we didn't get any more seasons. Because like I said, season 5 sucked. Except for a couple episodes that I did enjoy. So yeah. But thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, and comment what you think about this couple and the show. And I will try to see you guys below in the comments. Until next time.